before the ribbon is cut, before the champagne flies, before your name is engraved on anything. The idea of the trophy is older than 2,700 years. In 776 BCE, at a site called Olympia in the western Peloponnese, athletes from across the Greek world gathered to compete in the first recorded Olympic Games. The winner received no gold, no silver, no land. He was handed a single branch cut from a wild olive tree growing beside the temple of Zeus. The wreath, called a kotinos, was woven into a crown and placed on the victor's head. By modern standards, it was almost nothing, and yet it was everything. In ancient Greece, honor, what the Greeks called time, was the most valuable thing a man could possess. A kotinos meant a god had recognized you. The specific olive tree at Olympia was considered holy, tended by a boy whose parents both had to be living. The branch was cut with a golden sickle. Not every Greek competition was so austere. At the Panathenaic Games in Athens, winners received large ceramic amphorae filled with olive oil, a real, tradable commodity worth serious money. At the Pythian Games at Delphi, the prize was a laurel wreath, sacred to Apollo. At the Isthmian Games, victors received crowns of pine or wild celery. Every wreath was tied to a specific deity, olive for Zeus, laurel for Apollo. The plant itself was the communication, a direct claim of divine favor. When Rome absorbed Greek culture, it absorbed the wreath with it. The laurel became the emblem of Roman military victory and, eventually, of imperial power. A Roman general granted a triumph marched through the city wearing a laurel crown. The crowd roared. Behind him, a slave whispered, "Remember, you will die." Julius Caesar was reportedly self-conscious about his baldness. When the Senate permitted him to wear a golden laurel wreath at all times, he accepted with considerable enthusiasm. Rome formalized military honor into a hierarchy of crowns. The corona civica, woven from oak, was awarded to any soldier who saved the life of a fellow Roman citizen in battle. The corona obsidianalis, woven from grass or weeds gathered from the battlefield itself, was given only to a general who saved an entire besieged army. Fewer than a dozen were ever awarded. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 CE, the formal tradition of the victory wreath collapsed with it. The culture of competitive prizes fragmented for centuries. By the 11th and 12th centuries, European knights were competing in tournaments, staged combat events that were part military training, part spectacle, and part marriage market. Early tournament prizes were brutally practical. The loser surrendered his horse, his armor, sometimes a ransom. The winner walked away with real wealth stripped from a defeated opponent. By the 13th and 14th centuries, tournaments began awarding symbolic objects alongside practical ones: a golden ring, a jeweled clasp, a decorated helm presented by a noblewoman from the stands. A noblewoman presenting a prize to the champion echoed something ancient, honor flowing down from a higher authority to the proven best. The kotinos had worked the same way. By the 15th and 16th centuries, wealthy patrons across Europe were commissioning elaborate silver and gold cups to mark victories in archery contests, horse races, and civic games. The so-called loving cup, a large two-handled silver vessel meant to be passed between people, became a standard form for presentation prizes. It was communal, ceremonial, and loaded with meaning. In the 19th century, Britain codified the rules of football, cricket, rowing, and athletics at an unprecedented scale, and demanded physical objects worthy of the occasion. In 1871, the Football Association created the FA Cup, the oldest surviving national football competition in the world. The first trophy was a small silver cup awarded annually to the champion club. In 1882, After Australia defeated England at cricket on English soil for the first time, a mock obituary in a London newspaper declared that English cricket had died, and its ashes would be taken to Australia. Melbourne women reportedly burned cricket equipment and presented the ashes in a tiny terracotta urn to England captain Ivo Bligh. It stands about 4 inches tall and is treated as the sport's holiest relic. In 1892, Frederick Stanley, the Governor-General of Canada, donated a silver bowl to the top ice hockey team in Canada. He paid around 10 guineas. Today, the Stanley Cup stands nearly 3 feet tall. The oldest international trophy still actively contested is the America's Cup, first awarded in 1851, when the schooner America defeated a fleet of British yachts in a race around the Isle of Wight. By the late 19th century, manufacturers in Birmingham and Sheffield were mass-producing standardized trophy forms, a winged figure on a marble plinth with a brass nameplate, at scale and at low cost. For the first time, a local football club, a parish athletics meet, a school spelling competition could afford a physical prize. The trophy stopped being reserved for kings and generals. In 1929, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences held its first awards ceremony. The statuette, a knight holding a sword, standing on a film reel, was designed by Cedric Gibbons and sculpted by George Stanley. Academy legend holds that librarian Margaret Herrick looked at the statuette and said it reminded her of her uncle Oscar. The name stuck, and a trophy became a cultural icon. The first FIFA World Cup trophy, awarded from 1930, was a golden statuette of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, sculpted by the French artist Abel Lafleur. The connection back to Olympia was not accidental. In 1966, the Jules Rimet Trophy was stolen from a London exhibition. A week later, a dog named Pickles sniffed it out wrapped in newspaper beneath a garden hedge. You cannot write this history. After Brazil won the World Cup for the third time in 1970, FIFA awarded them the Jules Rimet Trophy permanently. It was stolen in 1983 and never recovered. A new trophy was commissioned. Italian sculptor Silvio Gazzaniga designed the replacement, 2 figures holding up the earth. Every World Cup winner since 1974 has raised that same design above their heads in the arena of joy. The NFL renamed its championship prize the Vince Lombardi Trophy in 1971, honoring the legendary Packers coach who had died that year. Tiffany & Company has crafted it in sterling silver ever since. Through the 20th century, the great trophies stopped being merely prizes. They became institutions, recognized silhouettes that stood for entire sports and carried the weight of every name engraved on them. By the late 20th century, major competitions were commissioning unique, one-of-a-kind trophy sculptures, objects so specific and so singular they could not be confused with anything else. Then a new kind of competition emerged. Esports, professional competitive video gaming, grew from small gatherings in the 1990s into stadium-filling events watched by tens of millions of people worldwide. For its World Championship, League of Legends commissioned the Summoner's Cup, a towering silver trophy carried into the arena by white-gloved attendants, treated with the same ceremony as any crown jewel. The Evolution Championship Series, EVO, grew from a California regional street fighter tournament in the mid-1990s into the largest fighting game championship in the world. The designers of modern esports trophies face a specific challenge. How do you make an object feel historic when the sport is only decades old? Every material choice is a claim about legitimacy. What separates an EVO champion lifting a trophy in Las Vegas from a Greek athlete receiving a Cotino's at Olympia? The crowd is larger. The game is digital. The feeling is identical. From a branch of olive cut with a golden sickle in 776 BCE to a silver trophy carried in under arena spotlights, the form has changed completely. The meaning has not moved an inch. A score fades from memory. A photograph flattens to 2 dimensions, but a physical object, something with weight, something that catches light, keeps the moment anchored in the world. It says, "This happened. It was real." The ancient Greeks believed the Kotinos linked the winner directly to Zeus himself. Today's champion raises a trophy before 50,000 fans. The technology is unrecognizable. The transaction is the same. Somewhere right now, a designer is sketching the next iconic trophy. It will be kissed and wept over and photographed millions of times. It will carry on a tradition older than the Roman Empire. This is Origins. Subscribe and come back tomorrow. There's a new origin every single morning.